Did the dragon and the bear quietly force the eagle to abandon its grand Iran war plans, pushing Trump to fly away from escalation just as his generals warned of mounting risks? Are Russia and China now watching closely from the sidelines as Trump drains the US war chest on Iran, studying every missile launch like a live rehearsal for America's next big conflict? As the Iran war steadily drains US defenses, are Putin and Xi Jinping taking careful note of every Patriot and interceptor fired, waiting for the moment when America's shield looks weakest? After this bruising Iran campaign, is America quietly becoming unready for the next war, with stockpile charts in Washington now shaping decisions far more than battlefield ambitions? Amid intense Iran war tensions, did the fear of how Russia and China might exploit the situation effectively force Donald Trump to step back from escalating it further? The New York Times reported that US officials now fear Russia and China are watching the Iran war extremely closely, treating it as a real-time study of American firepower and vulnerabilities. Washington believes both Beijing and Moscow actively tracking how fast US missile stockpiles are being depleted, and may factor those trends into their own future war planning. Officials warned that any perceived weakness in America's air defense reserves could encourage far riskier moves by adversaries, from Taiwan to Eastern Europe, if the Iran campaign went too far. These concerns emerged just as the Iran conflict was consuming high-value air defense munitions at a rapid pace, forcing planners to weigh every strike against the risk of leaving other fronts exposed. Donald Trump reportedly held back from a major escalation against Iran as Pentagon concerns over missile stockpiles grew, the New York Times reported. According to the New York Times, dwindling Patriot interceptor inventories became a major factor shaping White House deliberations on further military action. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs General Dan Kane reportedly warned that another large-scale war with Iran could strain US air defense capabilities across the region. Kane reportedly told officials that expanding operations against Iran could reduce Patriot missile coverage protecting US forces under CENTCOM. The reported concerns over air defense readiness ultimately became a key factor in President Trump's decision-making on possible further escalation. Meanwhile, US Central Command said the American naval blockade against Iran remained fully enforced across the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM said US forces redirected 12 commercial vessels that allegedly attempted to bypass the blockade on July 25. The US military said 2 commercial ships were disabled after they ignored repeated warnings and failed to comply with blockade instructions. CENTCOM also said American forces boarded 2 commercial vessels to verify compliance with blockade enforcement measures in the Gulf. According to CENTCOM, a Comoros-flagged tanker was cleared after inspection, while another vessel was disabled for failing to comply. Statement by US CENTCOM said, and I quote, "The US naval blockade against Iran remains in full effect. As of July 25, CENTCOM has redirected 12 commercial vessels trying to run the blockade, disabled 2 that didn't comply, and boarded 2 to ensure total compliance." Earlier today, US forces completed a verification boarding aboard Comoros-flagged MT Charmana in the Arabian Sea, and the tanker is now continuing its journey. CENTCOM forces disabled Mozambique-flagged MT Levine in the Gulf of Oman, July 24, after the crew attempted to violate the blockade multiple times and ignored repeated warnings. The ship is no longer transiting to Iran. Unquote. Donald Trump rejected reports claiming the US was running low on munitions during the conflict, dismissing the assessments as inaccurate. Trump said the United States possessed far more munitions than any other country and more than it currently required. Earlier, the Wall Street Journal reported General Dan Kane had warned senior officials about declining US air defense interceptor stockpiles. Meanwhile, Qatar and Oman discussed diplomatic efforts aimed at implementing the recently announced US-Iran Memorandum of Understanding. Qatar urged all parties to pursue dialogue and safeguard freedom of navigation through the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. As diplomatic contacts resumed, Al Arabiya reported China worked with Pakistan to help revive US-Iran negotiations. Axios reported that CENTCOM chief Brad Cooper also urged ending strikes around Hormuz after the campaign had reached its objectives. According to Axios, Cooper assessed that the operation had significantly degraded Iran's ability to conduct maritime attacks. Cooper reportedly said most designated military targets had already been exhausted during Operation Epic Fury, Axios reported. Without launching a broader new offensive, Cooper reportedly concluded that extending the bombing campaign would serve no meaningful military purpose, Axios reported. As missiles continue flying thick and fast between the United States and Iran, Donald Trump is reportedly preparing an entirely new military mission behind the scenes. Trump is reportedly weighing a high-risk special operations mission aimed at seizing Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium before it can be moved elsewhere. The stunning details of Trump's potential next operation against Iran were revealed in a report published by the New York Post on July 25. The proposed American operation would reportedly require thousands of troops to secure, occupy, and control Iran's heavily fortified nuclear facilities. Among the primary targets on Washington's list are the strategic nuclear sites at Isfahan, Fordow, and the deeply buried Pickaxe Mountain complex. Objective: seize and secure Iran's enriched uranium stockpiles before they can be relocated, concealed, or potentially weaponized. Mission type: a large-scale special operations raid supported by conventional military forces and extensive logistical coordination. Ground force: thousands of troops would reportedly be deployed to capture, secure, and hold multiple nuclear sites simultaneously. Primary tasks: clear access routes, breach fortified entrances, and neutralize explosive traps before specialist teams move inside. Special operations: elite units would spearhead the mission by locating, securing, and extracting sensitive nuclear material from underground facilities. Engineering support: military engineering teams would clear damaged structures, remove obstacles, and create safe access through heavily fortified complexes. Security: a layered defensive perimeter would be established around every captured site to repel counterattacks and protect the operation. Extraction: heavily guarded military convoys would transport the recovered nuclear material from the facilities to designated airfields for evacuation. Air requirement: the entire mission would depend on complete control of the air corridor to ensure uninterrupted troop movements and safe extraction. The proposed Special Operations Force would reportedly include SEAL Team SIXS Silver Squadron, along with the U.S. Army's 2nd Ranger Battalion. The U.S. Army's 21st Ordnance Company would reportedly be tasked with securing, handling, and transporting any enriched uranium recovered during the operation. However, the biggest challenge for the U.S. military would be carrying out such an operation deep inside Iran's hostile and heavily fortified nuclear complexes. Many of Iran's nuclear facilities are buried deep beneath mountains, making access extremely difficult even after sustained airstrikes. Recovering and securing highly enriched uranium would require extraordinary precision to prevent contamination, damage, or proliferation risks. American forces would have to conduct combat missions inside heavily defended hostile territory while facing constant threats from Iranian troops. Military engineers could be forced to cut through collapsed tunnels and bomb-damaged entrances before reaching the underground facilities. U.S. personnel would need to hold captured nuclear sites for an extended period while repelling repeated Iranian counterattacks. Every phase of the operation would require carefully timed withdrawals before Iranian reinforcements could surround or overwhelm American forces. Moving sensitive nuclear material out of Iran would demand secure convoys, air cover, and strict safeguards against interception or sabotage.